This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Our goal with our videos is to empower you to be able to do the repairs on your own and save a whole lot of money and also get that great feeling of having fixed it by yourself.
This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we have a Whirlpool refrigerator with the freezer on the bottom, and the freezer and the refrigerator are not cooling very well. So we want the freezer to be 0 degrees and the fresh fruit section to be 38 degrees, and they're both warming up. So we're going to take a look at a couple of things and take off this cover here at the bottom so we can clean the area underneath where a lot of dirt and lint accumulates. And we're using a special refrigerator brush. We'll put a link for you to get one of these if you'd like. They're pretty cheap and they allow you to get into the area where the refrigerator tries to dissipate and get rid of the heat, because refrigerators and freezers are actually just pulling heat out of the area where the food is, and they dispel it or dissipate it down either behind or in the bottom. And there's a fan that runs there, so the fan sometimes can pull in some dirt and dust and lint over the years, and it can build up to a point where the refrigerator just really can't get rid of its heat anymore, and you'll notice that your freezer and your fridge just aren't cooling very well. They're cooling, but just not as well. It could be that you just need to clean this area underneath. So it's pretty easy to do. You just need this tool so you can get in there. There are some extensions you can put on a vacuum cleaner too that work really well to get in deep where they can pull out all of this dirt. So the first thing I would try if your refrigerator freezer is not cooling very well is to make sure that the area here where it dissipates the heat is really clean. And just take you a couple of minutes. I am also going to be checking some of the components behind the refrigerator where the compressor is, and the compressor basically compresses refrigerant gas, and that helps the refrigerator and freezer again to get rid of the heat. If the compressor is not working, it just can't do it. So I'm going to turn it off now by going all the way down to 0. This one goes between 0 and 7, so 7 is the coldest it can get. I'm going to pull the fridge out so I can get behind it. I'll remove these 1/4-inch screws that are holding on the back panel. And that round thing there, the black round thing, that's the compressor. So it's like an electric motor that has a piston that compresses the gases. And it has a starting windings and also run windings, start windings, kind of get it going. I'm just feeling if it's warm. It is warm, so that's a good sign. It means that it's trying to work. It means that the thermal overload probably is not blown, so it's probably getting power. So I took off this little metal clip that holds it on, and I'm going to pull this assembly off. There's 3 pins that it connects to, and you can just pull it right off. And now I'm using a screwdriver to help pry out this power connector that brings energy to the relay and to the overload and the capacitor. And this little thing is the overload. It's like a fuse. I'm going to pop it out and then test it with my multi-tester. I'm going to set my multi-tester to beep if there's continuity, and I'm just going to put it on these connecting points and see if I get continuity. So I do get continuity, and that means that the thermal fuse or the overload is okay. It did not pop. So I get a nice continuity reading. So we know that that is not the problem. Sometimes those will pop when the refrigerator compressor is running too often. This thing is the relay. I'm checking to see if I have continuity there, and I do. So the relay is okay. So those parts are probably good. The capacitor, I'm guessing, is okay. I'm going to check now these little pins on the compressor. There's 3 of them, and I'm going to put my probes on any of the 2. I should get around 12 on my continuity reading, and I do on 2 of the pins, but when I switch it to another 2, I should get 12 again, but instead I only get about 6 or 7. And that means something's wrong with the windings. Maybe a wire broke inside. And that's probably why this refrigerator is no longer working. So I'm just checking the 3 different probes in different configurations. And on 2 of them I get 12 something, on the other 2 I get about 7. So unfortunately that means this compressor is probably beyond repair, and it would be wise for them to have somebody come in and replace the compressor, or maybe, depending on the age, it may be better to replace the whole refrigerator. So I'm going to go ahead and put the overload back into this assembly, and I'll plug it back into the 3 pins, which is really easy. I'm going to put the capacitor back on, and I'll put the power module or power cord back on to that assembly, and then I'll put the panel back on, zip those wires back in, plug it in, and give it another try. I think because of the windings being messed up on the compressor, that this refrigerator is unfortunately probably beyond repair. But if yours just has a blown overload, you can replace that really easily. Or if yours has just a dirty area underneath where it can't get rid of the heat, then that's really easy to fix. So hopefully that'll be true of yours. But if you test those windings and you get really different values depending on which pins you're on, you probably need to get a new compressor or a new refrigerator. Problem with getting a new compressor is that you have to bleed out all the refrigerant and then put new refrigerant in, and many times the seals that hold the refrigerant from leaking are getting pretty old too, and they tend to leak. So probably time to get another refrigerator. I think this one unfortunately was only about 8 years old, and we hoped that they would go further. I'm going to clean a little bit more in here with that special brush to make sure that all that area is really clear. And then when I turned the refrigerator back on, I did hear the compressor start up, but it didn't stay on very long. So I think probably the starting windings are working, but the run windings is probably the one that was compromised. But as you can see though, it is pretty easy to do this maintenance type cleaning, and many times this will get your refrigerator cooling really well again, because it will then have the ability to dissipate or get rid of the heat. When you turn the refrigerator back on, you should hear the fan kick in, but you should hear kind of a deeper frequency sound too, like another motor kicking in. And that's the compressor. If you don't hear that, that would mean that your thermal overload is blown, or maybe your compressor is too damaged to be able to run anymore. Just making sure I get all that stuff out. I'm going to go ahead and put this grill back into position. I'll add in the 2 little 1/4" screws that hold it on, and then turning the refrigerator back on, not to the highest point of 7, but just to 5. That's probably the factory recommended amount for the fridge and the freezer. And then once you do these changes, you want to give it about 10 to 12 hours to really get down to the good temperatures again. If it still doesn't, which I don't think this refrigerator was able to get back down to temperature, then it's time for a change of the compressor. Just trying to see if I can turn it on and off and try to hear the compressor kicking in. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for watching our video. We really appreciate your support. And when you get a chance, please press the subscribe button below so you can be subscribed, and also the notification bell so we can send you more videos about appliance repair. Please also give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. If you really liked the video and it really helped you, please press this new applaud button and you can show your support and also get a nice clapping hands for your video. Thanks again.